The Seoul sky glows with a soft orange hue as dusk settles in and the cool spring breeze gently stirs the curtains in Yin's room. Inside, she sits quietly before a large, white canvas gradually coming to life with beautiful colors. Her brush strokes are gentle, almost like a dance. Painting is the one thing that makes her feel truly alive, a connection to her mother, who passed away when she was very young. Since her mother's death when she was in kindergarten, a sense of loneliness has always lingered. Her father was always too busy to soothe the emptiness left by her mother's absence. Yin often played with the housemaids, but it was her father's attention she craved most, especially after her mother's passing. Flashback. Dad. Yin approached her father, Park Jong-yoon, who was engrossed in his documents. Jong-yoon only cleared his throat, not looking up from the papers in front of him. Dad, look at my painting. At 6 years old, Yin constantly sought her father's attention, hoping to fill the void left by her mother's passing. Yin, I'm busy right now. Don't disturb me, Jong-yoon replied, eyes still focused on his work. Young and not fully understanding, Yin continued seeking his attention. Dad, you're busy every day. You never want to play with me, when Mom was. Yin, stop. Jong-yoon cut her off, looking at her sharply. I work for you too. Please don't disturb me right now. But Dad, look at this painting. It's a picture of you, Mom, and me, Yin insisted, showing him the painting. I'll look at it later. Now go to your room, Jong-yoon ordered, leaving Yin to pout and retreat to her room. In her room, Yin felt sad. Her father hadn't paid attention to her since her mother died. She channeled her frustration into painting, which brought her peace. Painting was not just a hobby for her, it was her dream. She wanted to become a famous artist with her own gallery. As she neared high school graduation, she finally expressed her dream to her father. Dad, I'm going to choose fine arts as my major. I want to develop my painting skills. Jong-yoon, who was reading a business report on his tablet, looked up, surprised. What? Fine arts? Who told you to pick that major? Yin frowned in confusion. I did. It's my passion. No, you're not allowed to choose that major. You need to prepare to take over our business. So, you're going to study business, Jong-yoon insisted. For him, Yin had to be ready to succeed him at their flourishing insurance company in Korea. Yin was shocked. That's not fair, Dad. I don't like studying business or anything like it. I'm only interested in painting, she protested. You can't argue, Yin. You have to follow what I say. I already told you that painting is just a hobby, not a career, Jong-yoon countered. But being a painter is my dream, Dad. I love painting because Mom loves it too. Would you take that away from me? Don't bring up your mother. She only painted as a hobby, not a career. Enough. No more arguing. You'll enroll in Seoul University's business program. I've already arranged it, Jong-yoon declared firmly, leaving no room for debate. End of flashback. From that moment on, Yin entered the business program, forced by her father's unyielding decision. Remembering the past brought a sad smile to her face as she resumed painting. Even though her father constantly forbade her from indulging in her hobby, worrying it would impact her studies, she ignored him. Yin, I need to talk to you. A firm voice broke the silence from outside her door. Yin sighed, carefully setting her brush down. She knew what her father wanted to discuss. The door opened, and a middle-aged man in a gray suit stood there, his expression serious as usual. He rarely smiled since her mother passed. What is it now, Dad? Yin asked, still facing her painting. Seeing her with her paintbrush in hand, Jong-yun's face contorted in anger. Why are you still holding on to this hobby? What about your studies? Your grades are going to fall apart if you don't focus, he complained. The same words she'd always heard whenever he saw her painting. Dad, please, I don't want to argue with you right now. Just tell me what you need, Yin replied, trying to stay calm. Jong-yoon, on the verge of scolding her further, restrained himself and turned to the window, gazing at the bustling cityscape. You know, my friend, Mr. Jeon Kyungmin, a lawyer, wants to arrange a marriage between you and his son, Jungkook. You know him, don't you? He's your professor at the university. Yin turned quickly. Arrange a marriage for me? Dad, you know I don't want to get married. At least, not yet. Yin, his voice trembled slightly. This isn't just about marriage. It's about your future. Jungkook is a good man. He'll look after you and help you study better. I don't want to hear about your terrible grades like in your first year. You're in your second year now. I want you to stay focused on your studies. Yin scoffed. I don't need help with my studies, Dad. I don't want to study business administration. I wanted to go to fine arts, and you know that. My grades will always be poor in this field because my passion isn't in business. Please don't force me to do something I don't enjoy, she pleaded. Park Jong-yoon turned to face his daughter. Yin, You're the sole heir to our company. You need to be ready to lead after me. This isn't just about your personal desires. Dad, I'm not good at it. What if I ruin the company? Yin's voice shook, showing how vulnerable she felt under her father's expectations. But he shook his head. You'll marry Jungkook. As a business professor, he'll supervise and teach you. It's already decided. On the other side of the city, Jungkook sat across from his parents, listening as they discussed the same topic. His mother, a highly respected doctor, sat gracefully on the sofa, while his father, a lawyer, spoke with a commanding tone. Jungkook, I've spoken with my friend, Park Jong-yoon. This arranged marriage is important for our future. I've also invested heavily in shares of their insurance company. Besides, Yin is your student, isn't she? She should respect you. You know her, right? His father asked. Jungkook simply nodded. He did know Yin as one of his students, but their relationship had never been more than formal interactions in class. I don't mind, Dad, Jungkook replied calmly, if that's what you both want. You're a good son, Jungkook. His mother, Sana, smiled with satisfaction. However, deep inside, Jungkook felt a sense of emptiness. He had always been a dutiful son, but this time, he felt a heavier burden than usual. This wasn't just about marriage. It was about taking on a significant responsibility. He would soon become a husband, and his responsibilities would only increase. Since they were told about the arranged marriage, their interactions in and outside of class had become awkward. This morning, as usual, Yin was attending her business class taught by Jungkook. As Yin was about to enter the classroom with her classmate, they crossed paths with Jungkook, who was also heading into the class. Good morning, Professor Jeon, her classmate greeted. Meanwhile, Yin diverted her gaze from Jungkook. She would usually greet him as well, but now the situation felt different, making her uncomfortable. Morning, Jungkook replied with a slight smile, glancing at Yin, who looked away. The class began in a focused manner. Jungkook taught as usual, while Yin, as usual, showed little interest in the lesson. She preferred to doodle or sleep during class, something Jungkook was aware of. Normally, he would reprimand her, but today he held back. For some reason, he also felt the awkwardness, knowing she would soon be his wife. Before he realized it, the class was over. Class rep, please gather all the reports I requested last week and bring them to my office, Jungkook instructed as he was leaving. Tell Yin to do it as punishment for sleeping during my class, he added before finally leaving. Not long after Jungkook left, Yin woke up from her nap. Yin, Professor Jeon asked you to bring these reports to his office. One of her classmates handed her the stack of reports. Yin looked at her in confusion. Why me? It's your punishment for sleeping in his class. Here are the reports. See you. Yin sighed in frustration as she looked at the stack. She had no choice but to take them to Jungkook's office. The awkward feeling remained as she thought of facing Jungkook, who would soon become her husband. Yin knocked on Jungkook's office door before entering. Come in. Hearing his reply, she opened the door and stepped inside, seeing him focused on his laptop. Here are the reports, Professor Jeon. Just leave them there, Jungkook replied without looking at her. Alright, I'll be leaving now, Yin said after placing the reports on his desk. Wait, Jungkook's voice stopped her as she turned back to look at him. What is it, Professor Jeon? Your report is included in these, right? Jungkook asked. Don't worry, I completed it too. If that's all, I'll take my leave, Yin replied, quickly leaving the office. She couldn't bear the awkwardness any longer. Ugh, he's already being strict. And he's not even my husband yet. Just wait. I won't listen to everything he says later, Yin grumbled as she left his office. The awkwardness continued when they encountered each other in the campus hallway. Yin, seeing Jungkook ahead, felt uneasy. Ugh, why do we have to run into each other now? She muttered. It wasn't possible to turn around now, with Jungkook already so close. If she turned back, it would only show her awkwardness. As they almost passed each other, Yin lowered her head respectfully, which Jungkook responded to with a slight nod. It wasn't just Yin feeling awkward, Jungkook was also uncomfortable with the situation. The day of the meeting between the two families finally arrived. It was Sunday, and Jungkook and his parents visited Yin's home to discuss the upcoming wedding. The wedding should be held next week. It's a good day, Jungkook's mother Sana suggested. As for the wedding concept, what did we decide on? The theme we discussed before. It's already suited for the hotel ballroom. I've also organized the guest list. After all, we're not inviting many, just close family. Right. What about? It turned out that neither Yin nor Jungkook had any room to discuss their own wedding. Or rather, Yin was simply uninterested in joining the conversation. Ever since Jungkook's family arrived, she had maintained a sullen expression, which Jungkook seemed to notice. So, He invited Yin to the backyard garden. "So, you don't mind this marriage?" Jungkook asked. Yin let out a rough sigh. "Ugh, what choice do I have? Besides, I want to get out from under my dad's pressure," Yin replied, looking straight ahead. Jungkook raised an eyebrow slightly but shrugged it off. "Good, I don't mind either. I don't want to go against my parents," Jungkook replied. Jungkook's words stung Yin, who often disregarded her father's wishes, but she didn't care. "But after we're married, I want us to keep our distance, especially on campus. Also, I don't want to get too close physically." "I'm not ready," Yin said. Jungkook nodded in understanding. "Got it. In that case, let's sleep in separate rooms for now." Yin nodded in agreement. Jungkook's suggestion to sleep separately wasn't without reason. It was because Yin had expressed she wasn't ready to be closer to him. However, Jungkook wasn't entirely sure he'd be able to control himself if they shared the same bed. He knew he was a normal, adult man, after all. Time passed quickly. Without much fanfare, Yin and Jungkook were finally married in a simple, private ceremony attended only by close family. They moved into a spacious apartment in central Seoul. As a newlywed couple, they began a life that felt more like two strangers sharing a space, as they had agreed to sleep in separate rooms. That morning, as usual, they had breakfast at the same table. Jungkook poured himself a cup of coffee while Yin focused on her toast. No words were exchanged. Only the clinking of spoons and plates broke the silence. "My schedule is packed today. I have several classes to teach." Jungkook tried to start a conversation. Yin only nodded without looking up. "I also have class this afternoon," she replied briefly. Jungkook felt the awkwardness. This marriage wasn't what he had imagined. He had hoped to get closer to Yin, to understand her better. But each time he tried to talk to her, it seemed like there was a huge wall between them. "Do you want to go together?" Jungkook offered. Yin gave him a strange look. "We already agreed not to be seen together on campus. If I come with you and others see us, what would they think? Especially since you have so many fans. We'd better go separately," Yin replied, immediately leaving the apartment. Jungkook sighed softly. It won't be easy to get close to her. On campus, Yin saw Jungkook surrounded by many girls. Well, she was used to seeing that. "Professor Jian, please help me with this." "Professor Jian, I want to show you the assignment you requested yesterday." "Professor Jian, why are you so handsome?" "Professor Jian, do you have a girlfriend?" Jungkook, bombarded with questions, could only smile slightly as he walked down the corridor, with students eagerly asking about their assignments. Then suddenly, his eyes met Yin's for a moment before she looked away. It felt strangely like getting caught cheating. Quickly, he excused himself from the crowd of girls. "Sorry, I have another class. You can ask these questions later when I'm in your class." "Excuse me." Jungkook never took these girls' advances seriously. Today, Jungkook had a class scheduled with Yin. As he entered the classroom, his eyes instinctively searched for Yin, who was, as usual, dozing off. Just as he sat down, a pretty girl approached him. "Professor Jian, here's the report I completed." It was Lena, a beautiful and smart girl, the most active student in class, and she had the highest grades. "What's this?" Jungkook asked, not about the report but about the box on top of it. Lena smiled shyly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "It's a cake I made. I prepared it just for you. I'm sure you'll like it." Lena was one of the girls vying for Jungkook's attention, always seeking ways to attract him with questions in class. "But, take it back. I don't like sweets," Jungkook declined. Lena lowered her head, returning to her seat, feeling embarrassed and disappointed after being rejected by her crush. The class began, but Lena continued seeking Jungkook's attention, actively asking questions. "Professor Jian, I have a question about." As a professor, Jungkook had to respond professionally. During the class, he noticed Yin scribbling in her notebook. He was sure she was doodling aimlessly again. "Yin, can you answer the question I just explained?" All eyes turned to Yin, making her stop what she was doing. She stood up and shook her head. "I don't know." Her response was flat. Lena quickly raised her hand. "I can answer, Professor Jian. Don't bother asking her. You know she never cares about what you teach. She's just been doodling aimlessly," Lena sneered. That was her, beautiful, yet arrogant and belittling others. Yin, on the other hand, merely rolled her eyes, unfazed by Lena's comment. "All right, Yin, sit down, and from now on, pay attention and listen to what I'm explaining," Jungkook instructed. An hour later. "Well, that's all for today's material. Have a good day." After class ended and Jungkook left the room, Yin saw Lena approaching another girl and shoving her slightly. "Hey, what's with your question just now? If you're going to ask, at least be clear about it." "Did that really need to be asked?" The answer was already in the material. You just wanted to get Professor Jeon's attention, didn't you? Lena scolded. Yin was used to seeing Lena berate others whenever they asked Jungkook questions in class. It was clear that Lena wanted to be the only one who got Jungkook's attention. Unbothered, Yin left the classroom. During a quiet dinner, Jungkook decides to address Yin's attitude in class. Yin, could you try to be more focused in class? Yin, in the middle of eating, looks at Jungkook. What do you mean? You know what I mean. In class, if you're not sleeping, you're just doodling in your notebook. If you keep this up, your grades will stay low, maybe even get worse. This is your second year. You should start putting in more effort, Jungkook says, trying to motivate her. Yin sighs heavily, annoyed. She hates it when people bring up this topic. Standing up, she replies, I'm done. And you don't need to advise me. I'll only study hard in subjects I actually like. She leaves the dining table and heads to her bedroom, ignoring his advice. A semester has passed, and Yin's grades have dropped even further compared to the last. Jungkook grows increasingly frustrated, seeing her lack of progress. How can I motivate Yin to take her studies seriously? Jungkook mutters in his office. Meanwhile, Yin checks her grades on the campus portal and stares blankly at them. She simply doesn't care. When Yin gets home, she finds Jungkook waiting in the living room. Seeing her arrive, he approaches her. Yin, I need to talk to you. Not now, I'm tired. Yin brushes past him and goes straight to her bedroom, leaving Jungkook to sigh in frustration. Since he missed the chance earlier, Jungkook tries to speak with Yin during dinner. Yin, you need to focus more on your studies, he says. Focus? For what? Yin replies indifferently, which only adds to Jungkook's frustration. Can you take your future seriously? Your father entrusted you to me so you could work on your grades. If you keep going like this, you're putting your future at risk. Yin gives a bitter smile. My future was ruined the moment I entered the business department. I don't even like business, Jungkook. So why should I bother with it? She replies, frustration creeping into her tone. Yin, I'm only trying to help. Your father trusted me to look after you, and that includes making sure you succeed academically. Yin slams her spoon down. Don't treat me like one of your other students. I'm sick of all of this. Yin's frustration grows as she feels even Jungkook is now pressuring her, just like her father does. Finally, Jungkook, tired of her attitude, loses his patience. Why can't you be more like Lena? She's smart and diligent in class, and always has high grades. Don't you feel any shame? You have everything handed to you by your father, he says, his voice filled with frustration. Yin freezes, shocked that Jungkook would compare her to Lena, a classmate she dislikes immensely. You don't know anything about me. You have no right to compare me to your other flirtatious students, especially when you're blind to who Lena really is. Yin's anger intensifies as she storms off to her bedroom. Yin ran into her room, slamming the door behind her. Her heart was pounding, a mixture of anger and frustration. She paced back and forth, replaying Jungkook's words in her mind. His comparison to Lena hurt more than she had expected. She thought, at the very least, Jungkook should understand her better than her father, but now he seemed no different. In the privacy of her room, Yin quietly cried, her heart aching from Jungkook's comparison with another girl. Why did Jungkook have to bring Lena into their conversation? Hours passed, and Yin lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Her mind swirled with thoughts about her future, her choices, and her own dissatisfaction. She realized that her frustration wasn't just with Jungkook or even her father. Perhaps she was just as angry with herself for feeling so lost. She didn't want things to be this way. She wanted to focus on her studies and succeed in college. But business wasn't her passion. Every lesson gave her a headache. And now, her husband bringing up Lena's name only made her feel more heartbroken. The argument from the other day had caused an even greater rift between Jungkook and Yin. They barely spoke, ignoring each other. When morning arrived, Jungkook noticed Yin was absent from the dining table. Did she skip breakfast? It turned out that Yin had left early to avoid him, choosing instead to eat outside. The same thing happened at dinner. Yin didn't want to see Jungkook, leaving him to eat alone at night. Did she skip dinner too? I'd better save some food for her, Jungkook muttered as he left the dining table. Yin peeked out, watching until Jungkook was gone, then quietly approached the dining table and finally ate her meal. On campus, Yin's situation grew even more complicated. Lena, one of the brightest and most popular students, often praised Jungkook in class. It was obvious that Lena was interested in Jungkook, although he never responded to her advances. Yet lately, Jungkook had been frequently praising Lena in class. Your answer is correct, Lena. Did you study the material in advance? Lena nodded. Of course, Professor. I'm always excited to learn what you teach. You all should try to be as diligent as Lena, reviewing the material before class and always being prepared to answer. Lena, receiving this praise, became even more conceited, feeling there might be a chance to get closer to her ideal professor. Jungkook then looked over at Yin, who showed no enthusiasm for his class. Yin, you look tired. Your grades are getting worse too. Why don't you learn from Lena? She's diligent and smart, Jungkook said, making the entire class turn to look at her. Yin lowered her head, feeling a mixture of embarrassment and anger. Jungkook's words stung as though he was deliberately mocking her. His criticism wasn't limited to that one time. Every time he entered Yin's class, he would throw some remark at her, putting her in the spotlight as all her classmates turned to look. Lena, in turn, became even more smug. On a different day, the format of your report is incorrect. Are you even trying to follow this class? Jungkook complained to Yin, who stood in front of him as some classmates whispered among themselves. Looks like Yin really doesn't like this class. Isn't that obvious? Look at her grades. They haven't improved since the first semester. Yin didn't pay much attention and simply remained silent, listening to it all. After returning home from class, Yin collapsed onto her bed, physically and emotionally drained from everything. Her phone rang, and she saw her father's name on the screen. Reluctantly, she answered. Hello, Dad. Yin, how are your grades this semester? There's some improvement, right? Yin bit her lip, hesitating before responding. No, Dad. My grades are the same as before. No improvement. She braced herself for his anger. What? You? What have you ever been studying all this time? Can't you just study properly? I'm tired of your behavior. What do you think you're going to become if this keeps up, huh? Yin was silent for a moment. Dad, you know I don't like this major. I can't keep up because this isn't what I'm passionate about and it's not my strength. I'm not suited for this field. Stop making excuses. Next semester, your grades better improve. If they're the same, you'll have to accept the consequences from me. The call ended. Yin's chest felt tight from the pressure from her father. Every semester, he would always scold her for her consistently poor grades. Her body felt weak, her chest heavy, making it hard to breathe. Quickly, she opened a drawer, took out her pill, and swallowed it, a depression medication prescribed by a psychiatrist she had been secretly visiting for some time. After she calmed down, she went to her art supplies and started painting according to her mood. Only through painting could she find peace. Mom, I miss you. If you were here with me, I wouldn't be like this, she whispered. Unable to hold back, tears started flowing, even as her hands continued to paint. After getting scolded by her father, Yin tried to forget about it and went back to class even though she had no interest. As usual, she would receive a reprimand from Jungkook for not paying attention in class. I hope you can be more active in this class if you don't want your grades to keep suffering. After class, Lena approached Yin. Poor you. Your grades are always terrible. No wonder Professor Jian prefers me. I mean, what professor would like a lazy student like you? Your parents must be embarrassed to have a child like you, she mocked with a sly smile. Yin felt her anger rise. Normally, she ignored Lena's taunts, but remembering how Jungkook kept praising Lena made her blood boil. Shut up, she shouted, then slapped Lena hard. Lena's laughter stopped instantly. Yin slapped her repeatedly, pulling her hair until Lena's face turned red. Lena's face became bruised from Yin's blows. The entire campus was in an uproar watching the scene. Hey, stop them. Oh my gosh. The fight became the center of attention. Yin didn't care and continued hitting Lena, driven by her anger. Soon, some professors came to break them up, including Jungkook, who rushed in to separate them. After the incident on campus, Yin received a warning letter from the university. Now she was in the academic advisor's office. If you do something like this again, there will be no tolerance for you, Yin. You know that violence is not allowed on this campus. She was continuously scolded, but Yin seemed uninterested. After receiving the reprimand, she left and went straight home. It felt like no one understood her. Her father only cared about her grades and the family business. Jungkook only focused on his role as the perfect husband who kept monitoring her, and the campus only cared about their rules. Jungkook followed Yin back to the apartment. He needed to talk to her. Just as he arrived, Yin was about to enter her room. Yin, wait a minute. Jungkook grabbed Yin's hand. Yin looked at him indifferently. What is it? What were you thinking earlier? I was really shocked that you did something like that. What's going on? Jungkook asked. Yin just stood there silently. She was already exhausted from the campus reprimand, and now Jungkook was scolding her too. I'm tired and fed up with everyone. Why doesn't anyone understand my position? She thought to herself. Seeing Yin remain silent, Jungkook sighed in frustration. Why are you silent? Tell me why you did it. You know your actions were dangerous for others, even for yourself on campus. Why did you act so recklessly? Again, Yin stayed silent, listening to Jungkook's anger. She didn't feel like arguing anymore. It was pointless. Jungkook would never understand her. How will your father react if he finds out about this? What if he knows you're at risk of being expelled? Don't you care about him? Jungkook continued. Yin smirked bitterly. Care? Shouldn't she be the one needing the care in this situation? Unable to hold back, she went into her room and slammed the door shut. Yin. Jungkook sighed in frustration. Why is Yin becoming more uncontrollable by the day? Meanwhile, in her bedroom, Yin sat with a vacant gaze fixed on the window. Inside her mind, a storm of emotions roared. She wanted so badly to cry and release all her emotions, yet her tears refused to fall, as if she had already cried out all her pain. Where were her tears? Had they already run dry? She took a deep breath, but the air felt heavy in her chest. She felt like a stranger in her own life, trapped by the expectations and demands of others. For a moment, she wished she could escape to a place where no one expected her to be someone she wasn't, someone she couldn't be. Is this the life I'm meant to live forever? She thought, despair slowly seeping into her. Does no one care about what I truly want? Her hand moved slowly, reaching for the bottle of pills in her drawer. She needed the relief now. Taking one, she placed it in her mouth, the bitter taste spreading across her tongue. But she didn't care. She was used to that bitterness by now. Not long after, her hand reached for the sketchbook nearby. With trembling hands, she began drawing without thinking, channeling all her buried emotions. Every line, every color became a release for the feelings she'd kept locked inside. Her drawing began to take shape, a small girl standing alone in the rain, without an umbrella, drenched, but still looking straight ahead. Just like her, standing alone, facing the endless storm of life. Mom, if only you were still here, she whispered softly, her voice barely audible in the quiet room. A deep longing for her mother filled her, a longing she never spoke of to anyone. A figure who, just maybe, could have truly understood her. The next morning, Jungkook knocked on Yin's bedroom door to invite her to breakfast. He felt he couldn't continue to leave his wife isolated, especially with Yin becoming increasingly uncontrollable. He was determined to motivate Yin so that she could change. Yin, let's have breakfast. You have a morning class today, right? This morning, Jungkook would be teaching Yin's class again, as he had a schedule for that class twice a week. He knocked on the door again, but there was no response. When he opened the unlocked door, he found that Yin was not in her room. Could she have already left? He thought, leaving Jungkook to have breakfast alone once again. Jungkook entered Yin's classroom to give his lecture. However, once again, he didn't find Yin in the class. Where is she? Jungkook wondered. Have I been too much for her? Is she upset because I keep praising Lena in front of her? I didn't mean anything by it. I just wanted to motivate her. He couldn't deny it. Jungkook was starting to feel anxious. His heart was a mix of emotions, restlessness, worry, fear that something might have happened to Yin, and guilt. Have I been wrong all this time? He asked himself. Jungkook sighed repeatedly. He really couldn't concentrate right now. His thoughts were all over the place. Does anyone know where Yin is? He finally asked all the students in the class. However, all the students shook their heads. She probably skipped again, Professor Jian. Yin hasn't been to any other classes for the past few days either, Lena chimed in. Hearing that only made Jungkook more concerned. When he returned to the apartment to talk to Yin, she had locked her room at night. He never had the chance to talk to her. She hadn't attended his class for a week without any excuse, making Jungkook even more anxious. Finally, that night, Jungkook saw Yin in the kitchen. He quickly approached her to talk. Yin, what's going on with you? Why haven't you attended class for the past week? Jungkook asked. As usual, Yin remained silent and didn't respond, making him dizzy with frustration. Is this because I always praise Lena in class? I'm sorry, but I did all of that to motivate you to study. That's all. I just want you to be more enthusiastic about your studies, Jungkook explained. This time he didn't want to pressure Yin anymore. He tried to speak to her as gently as possible. Yet still, Yin preferred to remain silent because, in her opinion, all of this was pointless. Yin, please say something. What's really going on with you? I'm sorry for comparing you to another girl. I didn't mean anything by it, Jungkook lamented. Stop. You don't need to know what's happening to me. You don't need to care about anything I do. It's pointless. You'll just add to the pressure on me. If you don't like who I am right now, we might as well get a divorce. After all, being married to you only adds more stress to my life, Yin said with an expressionless face, finally breaking her silence. Hearing the word divorce shocked him. He never expected Yin would say something like that. Yin, I mean. Before Jungkook could continue, Yin had already turned and left him, going back into her bedroom. I didn't mean it that way, Yin. I want to understand you. But how can I if you won't open up to me? Jungkook murmured. After the unresolved conversation, Jungkook still noticed that Yin wasn't attending class. He grew increasingly concerned as Yin's absences piled up. He tried calling her repeatedly, but she never answered. If this kept up, Yin would truly be at risk of expulsion. She was already struggling, with poor grades and the recent incident of violence on campus, and now a week's worth of unexplained absences only worsened her standing. Yin's place at the university was now in real jeopardy. Worried, Jungkook decided he needed to inform Yin's father, Jonghyun, about her current state before things spiraled further. Jungkook thought that if her father intervened, Yin might listen and cooperate. Hello, Dad. Hello, Jungkook. What's going on? Well, I wanted to update you on Yin's situation at campus, Jungkook said, hesitating. Oh, tell me, are her grades improving? After all, her husband is a professor there, Jonghyun chuckled. Jungkook managed a small smile. Actually, Dad. Jungkook then explained Yin's real situation, her stagnant grades, her fight with another student, her risk of expulsion, and her week-long absence from classes without any explanation. What? How could Yin act like that? Jonghyun's anger was unmistakable. I'm sorry, Dad. I'll try to be stricter with her. I just ask that you speak to her kindly and try to reach her before it's too late. Otherwise, she might be expelled, Jungkook said, his tone anxious. Alright, thank you for letting me know. The call ended. I hope she'll listen if her father speaks to her, Jungkook murmured. The next day. That afternoon, Jonghyun went to find his daughter. After hearing Jungkook's report, he was furious and deeply disappointed in her. He guessed where she might be at this hour. He drove to the Han River, and sure enough, Yin was there with her painting supplies. Yin often went to the river to paint whenever she felt stressed. Jonghyun's expression was severe as he approached his daughter. Yin. Yin turned, startled to see her father there, especially with such an angry aura. Dad, why are you here? Shouldn't I be the one asking you that? Why are you here? Don't you have classes today? Why are you wandering around? I don't like my classes, and I can't keep up with the material, Yin replied, her voice low. What? Say that louder. I don't like this major, these classes, the professors. I hate it all, she shouted. In that moment, a slap landed on Yin's face, a sharp sting spreading across her cheek. She never expected her father to strike her like that. It was the first time he had ever slapped her. You are truly ungrateful. After all, I've done for you. This is how you repay me. I'm pushing you because I know what's best for you. Don't you dare do anything reckless like this again. If you do, don't consider me your father anymore. Consider me dead. Jonghyun stormed away in anger. Tears welled up in Yin's eyes as she watched her father walk away. Her chest felt tight. She couldn't believe he would go so far this time. Elsewhere, Jungkook was at the apartment, having taken a day off from teaching. He'd requested a leave of absence because he felt something was seriously wrong with Yin, and he needed to talk to her. This time, he wouldn't let her slip away. Jungkook searched through Yin's bedroom, hoping to find something that could explain her recent behavior. Opening her drawer, he frowned as he spotted a bottle of medication. What's this for? He took the bottle out just as Yin entered the apartment. Jungkook was shocked to see the red mark on Yin's cheek, a clear sign she had been slapped. Yin, what happened to your cheek? Why is it red? When he tried to touch her face, Yin quickly moved away, giving him a cold look. None of your business. Her tone was flat as if she had no emotion left. As she turned to leave, Jungkook grabbed her arm. I'm not letting you go until you tell me what happened to your cheek. Yin sighed heavily. My father did it. What? My father came to see me earlier and slapped me. There, I answered your question. Jungkook was taken aback, not expecting her father to go so far. Then, what is this medication? He asked, showing her the bottle he'd found in her bedroom. Yin's expression changed, and she quickly snatched the bottle from him. It's just headache medicine. As she tried to walk away again, Jungkook held onto her arm once more. What's really going on with you, Yin? Are you sick? We can go to a doctor. Yin pulled her arm from his grasp. No need. I don't need your concern. You're just like everyone else. She tried to run away, but Jungkook stopped her again. Not this time. You have to tell me what's happening. I can't stand being left in the dark about you. Yin, please. Yin looked back for a moment. Please give me space. I need to be alone. Don't force me to talk now, or I'll go insane. It's enough that you keep comparing me to your favorite pretty student. Roughly, Yin pulled her arm away from him. She didn't want to be bothered right now and quickly retreated to her bedroom. No one told you to care about me because, honestly, you're just like my father, adding to my stress, she thought to herself. Jongyun had just returned to his office after meeting Yin at the Han River. He sat down to review the pile of documents on his desk. 15 minutes later, he had to pause as he saw a call from his daughter's university. Yes, hello? Is this Yin's father? Yes, this is her father. How can I help you? Well, sir, Yin has been absent from classes for a week. She hasn't completed any of her assignments either. If this continues, she's at risk of expulsion. We hope you can help advise her on this. Jongyun gripped his pen tightly. Thank you for informing me. I'll make sure my daughter returns to her studies. Thank you, sir. The call ended, and Jongyun angrily slammed his pen onto the desk, his fury renewed. That evening, Jongyun decided to go to Jungkook's apartment to see Yin. Dad, why didn't you tell me you were coming? Jungkook greeted him with a smile. I'm here to see Yin. Where is she? Jongyun asked, clearly ready to confront her. Well, before Jungkook could answer, Yin stepped out of her room. What is it, Dad? Are you looking for me? Want to scold me again? Jongyun immediately approached her, his jaw clenched. The campus called me. They said you haven't attended for a week. They've asked me to speak to you. If you want to know why, my answer is the same as this afternoon. You should already know, Dad, Yin replied. Yin, don't be so ungrateful. I'm doing all of this for your own good. Why can't you understand my intentions? Jongyun complained. For my own good? In what way? I'm just feeling pressured by everything you want. You only want me to do what you expect, but you don't understand what I truly want. Sometimes I wonder if you're really my father, Yin retorted. Yin. Jongyun raised his hand to slap her, but Jungkook quickly stepped in, stopping him. He couldn't stand seeing Yin constantly scolded. Dad, please calm down. Let me handle this. After all, I'm her husband now. This is my responsibility too, Jungkook said, trying to calm his father-in-law. None of you understand me. It's better if all of you just leave me alone, Yin shouted with tears in her eyes, running back to her room. Yin. Jungkook held Jongyun back as he attempted to follow her. Dad, please let me talk to her, okay? You should head home for now. I'll handle it. Please, calm down. Jongyun took a deep breath. Alright? Please talk some sense into her. I'll go now. After that, Jongyun headed straight to the door, accompanied by Jungkook, who then locked the apartment door behind him. Jungkook reflected on the situation. So Yin has been feeling pressured by her father all along. Is that why she's been so rebellious? Jungkook went to Yin's bedroom. Yin, open the door. Let's talk. Go away. I don't want to see you, Yin shouted from inside. Jungkook pushed the door open, realizing it was unlocked. She must have forgotten to lock it. He saw Yin holding the bottle of medication he'd found earlier. She looked disheveled, and he realized the pills were likely a sedative. He approached her quickly. Yin, please, tell me what's really going on. I want to understand what you're going through, and what you really want. Why have things come to this? Talk to me. I'm here to listen. Jungkook gently stroked her hair, wiping away her tears. At last, Yin gave in. She decided to open up to him. I don't enjoy studying business. It's not my passion, and I'm just not good at it. When I started university, I tried to learn and put in the effort, but my mind just can't grasp it, Yin said. Then, what is it that you do enjoy? Jungkook asked softly, finally beginning to understand. I love painting. That's where my passion lies. My dream is to be an artist, to open a gallery filled with my own work. I've always dreamt of that, but my father never approved. He hates seeing me paint because he thinks it's a waste of time that I could use studying business. He wants me to take over his company, but I don't want to, and I know I'm not capable of doing it. What if the company fails in my hands? I'll just be blamed again, Yin explained. Jungkook was taken aback. This meant he had been another source of pressure on Yin. She was already struggling under her father's expectations, and now he had added to it, making her feel even more uncomfortable in class by comparing her to others and praising someone else in front of her. Jungkook felt guilty as he realized all of this. All this time, he had never noticed how overwhelmed Yin was with the demands he and her father had placed on her. He had always thought Yin just needed a little push to try harder, without realizing that it was actually adding to her emotional burden. I'm sorry, Yin. I never meant to make you feel this way, Jungkook whispered regretfully, gazing at Yin as she lowered her head in sadness. Yin took a deep breath. You know, Jungkook, sometimes it feels like this life isn't mine. Everyone expects something from me, but no one ever asks what I want. Jungkook took her hand, holding it tightly. From now on, I promise to listen to you more. Whatever you want, I'll support you completely. I won't add to your burdens anymore. Yin looked at him, and for the first time in a long while, there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. So you want to enter the fine arts department? Jungkook asked. Yin nodded. Yes, if possible. It's possible. Yin furrowed her brows. How? Jungkook simply responded with a smile. The next day, Jungkook decided to speak with Yin's father. In Park Jong-hyun's large office, Jungkook sat across from his father-in-law, carefully choosing his words. Dad, I want Yin to transfer to the fine arts department. Park Jong-hyun gave Jungkook a sharp look. What? That's impossible. Yin has to finish her business administration studies. That's already been decided. Yin can't handle it anymore, Dad. She's under too much pressure. If this continues, I'm afraid she'll break. That's not an option, Jungkook. I have only one child, and that's Yin. She must continue this business, replied Jong-hyun. What if I take Yin's place? Jungkook offered. Jong-hyun looked surprised. You want to take her place? But what about your job as a lecturer? Have your parents agreed to this? I've discussed it with my mom and dad, and they're fine with it, as long as it's my own choice. As for my job as a lecturer, I'll resign. What matters is that Yin can transfer to the fine arts department. I'm sure she'll be much happier there, Jungkook explained. Jong-hyun appeared thoughtful. Actually, I wouldn't mind you taking over. In fact, I'd be pleased and feel fortunate if you did. But are you sure? Have you made this decision carefully? Jungkook smiled. I've thought it through. Plus, this aligns with my passion. There's a reason I studied business. My parents aren't business people. They're a lawyer and a doctor. I wasn't ambitious about starting a business from scratch. But that doesn't mean I'm not interested in business. In fact, I'm actually quite interested. Besides, let me be the CEO, but Yin will still be the company's heir. I'll work hard, not just for Yin, but for our future children. After all, my father also has shares in this company, right? Alright, in that case, I agree. Yin can transfer departments, as long as you're willing to take her place. Jungkook beamed. Thank you, Dad. The following day, here are your new forms and personal data, Yin. I hope this time you'll be more serious about studying in the fine arts department. Don't let your grades fall behind again. Yin nodded, smiling as she listened to the academic advisor. Yes, ma'am, I'll do my best. Yin stepped out of the academic office, where Jungkook was waiting for her. How did it go? Is it all set? Jungkook asked. Yin nodded. Yes. It was quicker because you helped me. Thank you for making it possible for me to change majors, and I'm sorry you had to take on my place as my father's successor, Yin replied with a guilty look. Jungkook took Yin's hand in his. Don't feel bad. Besides, I wanted to do it. Let's go home. I've already handed in my resignation here too. Yin nodded, but soon, a few girls, including Lena, approached them. Professor Jian, is it true you're not teaching anymore? Is that true? Why? From now on, don't call me Professor Jian. I'm just another senior in the same department as you all. I left because my wife wants me to become a CEO, Jungkook replied, looking at Yin with a playful gaze. The group of girls was shocked and squealed in surprise. You're married? When? Weren't you single? Jungkook quickly put his arm around Yin. Yes, I'm married, and Yin is my wife. He guided Yin away from the crowd, leaving the students in awe. Don't you feel like you're losing fans after this? Yin teased while they were in the car. I don't need them, I only need you, Jungkook replied, earning an eye roll from Yin. A few days later, their relationship had become warmer and more comfortable. Breakfast and dinner were now filled with conversations about their daily lives, and they spent many relaxed evenings together. So, the professors are impressed by your work? Jungkook asked. Yin nodded enthusiastically. Yes, and I've even got the highest grades in class. Jungkook smiled broadly. Wow, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. You're truly a gem in the right place. Yin smiled at his compliment, but quickly changed her expression. So, you're saying I was trash before? She teased, her eyes narrowing. Jungkook chuckled softly, gently patting her hair. You've always been a gem. It's just that your shine was hidden in the wrong place. Now you're polished and shining bright. Yin blushed at his words, her cheeks and ears turning red, which made Jungkook feel even more charmed. Without thinking, he gave her a quick kiss on her lips. Sitting so close beside each other, Yin's eyes widened briefly as she realized what he'd done, making the atmosphere slightly awkward. Clearing her throat, Yin asked, so, how are things going at my dad's office now? Trying to ease the tension. Well, as usual, I meet with lots of clients, and it turns out I really like my work there. It's the right choice for me. Handling everything has been smooth, and your dad often compliments my work too, Jungkook said proudly. Yin smiled sweetly, then gave a playful smirk and rolled her eyes. Yeah, it seems my dad's really proud to have a son-in-law like you. Jungkook chuckled at her teasing. Aren't you proud to have a husband like me? Of course, I am, Yin replied shortly, though she couldn't hide the blush on her cheeks. Seeing this, Jungkook couldn't resist and kissed her lips again. This time, before he could pull away, Yin's hand quickly held his neck, keeping him close. They gazed into each other's eyes for a few seconds, their faces very close. You, stop teasing me. Don't you know what effect it has on me? Yin asked, still holding his neck to keep him near. Jungkook smirked. Oh really? It has an effect on you? Then I'd be happy to do it again. Yin's eyes widened. You. Before Yin could protest, Jungkook kissed her again. This time it was a soft, heartfelt kiss, and Yin unconsciously closed her eyes. Does it make your heart race? Jungkook whispered gently. Because that's exactly how I feel. He slowly took Yin's hand and placed it over his chest. She could feel his strong heartbeat, just like her own. Can you feel it? Jungkook asked softly, almost like a whisper. Yin nodded. But isn't this heartbeat kind of wonderful? He asked with a mysterious smile at his wife. Jungkook's eyes never left her, gazing at her deeply until he finally leaned in again, cupping her face with both hands. His thumbs gently caressed her cheeks, making her close her eyes slowly, swept up in the atmosphere that Jungkook had deliberately created. Without hesitation, Jungkook kissed her again, deeper, bolder than before. He pulled Yin closer, letting her feel the warmth of his body. Her hands gripped his shoulders tightly, as if seeking an anchor in the kiss that made her lose herself in emotion. The room felt increasingly warm, their racing heartbeats blending together, united in that long kiss. Yin could even feel Jungkook's breath quickening, making her unable to suppress the small sigh that escaped her lips. Yin, Jungkook whispered in a low voice, his gaze unwavering from his wife's now flushed face. He looked over her face, from her eyes that held both doubt and attraction, to her slightly parted lips, seemingly awaiting the next action. I want you to know how precious you are to me, Jungkook said in a husky tone, his hand slowly moving down, gently caressing her arm, sending a shiver through her spine. Yin looked at him, unable to say a word, yet her gaze conveyed everything, that she wanted more. She bit her lower lip lightly, a look so innocent yet inviting, making Jungkook feel even more captivated by his wife's charm. Jungkook sighed. Don't bite your lip like that. You're driving me crazy. Without further delay, he pulled Yin even closer, kissing her neck softly, his lips tenderly brushing her smooth skin, leaving warm traces that made Yin shiver slightly. Her fingers gripped his shoulders as if trying to hold back, yet allowing Jungkook to embrace her even tighter. Jungkook, Yin whispered, her voice weak but filled with emotions she could no longer hide. Yes, baby, I'm right here, Jungkook answered softly, his lips still tracing her neck, making her drift in emotions that were difficult to describe. Slowly, Jungkook lifted his face, meeting Yin's gaze at such a close distance. Their eyes met, and in those moments, no words were needed. Jungkook raised his hand, gently brushing her hair over her shoulder. Honestly, lately, I've been longing for you, he murmured softly, his voice a whisper between their still ragged breaths. Yin, do you feel comfortable with me now? He asked gently as if asking permission to go further. Yin gave a slight nod, looking at him with a gaze filled with confidence. Jungkook smiled, and without more words, he pulled her into his embrace again. In that case, move to the master bedroom tonight and baby, I truly want you now. After saying that, Jungkook lifted Yin in his arms and carried her to the master bedroom, ready for their first night together.